Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video we are going to see professional ethics schedule 1. I've highlighted or I've given all the clauses, and watch this video till the end. It will help you to memorize each and every clause. So what you have to do is, this PDF is given in the description box. Download that, watch this video till the end, and every day do the revision for 5 to 10 minutes. That's it, not more than that, so that you will not quote a different clause in the exam hall and lose the marks. Okay, so let's get started. First and foremost we will do part 2. ओके, पार्ट 2 टॉक्स अबाउट सीए इन सर्विस. सीए इन सर्विस का मतलब क्या, अगर मैं सीए बन गया, सीए बनने के बाद मैं प्रैक्टिस नहीं बट एम्प्लॉयमेंट में चले गया, मैंने फुल टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट इन सम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, देन फॉर मी, पीपल लाइक मी हु आर इनटू सर्विस, there are two clauses given in part 2. Okay, first clause talks about payment, and then the second clause talks about acceptance. Payment in the sense, when I'm an employer, when I'm in an employment, I'll get salary. If I'm giving that salary to someone else, if I'm sharing that salary to some random person, then I'll be held guilty. Okay, here if you can pay to your relatives, parents, for them it is exempt. Okay, now if I'm paying it to some random person, then I'll be held guilty. So that is your first clause. Second clause talks about your acceptance. See, now I'm in an employment in an organization, okay, but I'm claiming some kind of a commission or brokerage or fees from CAs of that organization, from lawyers of that organization. There could be any reason. Okay, I'm giving them some benefits, but I'm claiming some kind of a commission. Okay, so I'll be held guilty. You cannot do that. Okay, from lawyers, CAs and brokers of that organization, if I'm claiming some kind of commission or gratification, then I'll be held guilty. एक हो गया तुम्हारा पेमेंट वाला, दूसरा हो गया तुम्हारा एक्सेप्टेंस वाला. So this is for employees. Okay, let's see part 3. So in part 2 there are 2 clauses. In part 3 there are 3 clauses. Okay, easy to remember, perfect. So members in general, so this part 3 talks about members in general. Members in general का मतलब क्या, it is applicable for members who are doing practice and members who are into employment also. It is applicable for everyone. Okay, the first one talks about is fellow. See, a CA, he becomes a fellowship once he has done 5 years of practice, then he will be a fellow. Okay, so he's not a fellow but acting as a fellow, then he will be held guilty. Okay, so that is your first point. Second point is who does not supply the information. See, suppose if institute has asked some kind of information, if that information is not supplied, or if that information is not given to the institute, then that member will be held guilty. So second one is about your information. Third one is that given information knowing it to be false. See, sometimes information, this he has given some information, but that is a false information. He knows that it is a false information. Okay, so first point is your fellow, second point is your information, and then third वाला information दिया but वो गलत दिया. कहाँ पे दिया? So sometimes in clause 6 and 7, when you're advertising, you give your information. If that information is wrong, gone. When you're doing any write-up or applying for any kind of tenders, if you're giving any wrong information, then then you will be held guilty. And then the other one is, if you're claiming any professional work from another chartered accountant and you're giving some wrong information, then also you will be held guilty. So that is covered in your clause 3. Okay, so part 2, again, first one talks about your payment. This is applicable for employees, and then the second one talks about your acceptance. In part 2 there are 2 clauses, gone. We know one is payment, one is acceptance. Clear. Now then the third part talks about general. It is applicable for everyone. Here also it is very easy to remember. First one talks about your fellowship. If you are not a fellow but acting as a fellow, gone. First one. Next one is when information is asked and you have not supplied the information, gone. You'll be held guilty. See, you have supplied the information but that information is wrong. Okay, when you are advertising or claiming certain work from another chartered accountant, when you are applying for tenders. Okay, so if you are giving wrong information, then gone. यहाँ पे ना clause 6 and 7 का reference भी आता है. So in clause 6 and 7, when you are providing some kind of an information, if you are doing it wrong, then ये clause में आपको guilty माना जाता है. So part 3 has 3 clauses. Okay, part 2 has 2 clauses, part 3 has 3 clauses. Easy to remember. Now let's go what part 4 talks about. Part 4 also talks about institute in general. Okay, members of the institute in general, matlab it is applicable for people who are in practice, it is applicable for people who are in employment as well. So first clause here there are only 2 clauses. Okay, part 2 2 clauses, part 3 3 clauses, part 4 2 clauses again. It's not 4. Okay, so first clause talks about held guilty. See, if any CA is held guilty by civil or criminal code, and then the term of imprisonment is less than 6 months, okay, which is not exceeding 6 months, okay, then it is covered in Schedule 1, Part 4. Okay, if it is more than 6 months, then it is covered in Schedule 2. We will see that later. Okay, in the coming video I'll be covering even Schedule 2 as well. Okay, if this video is helpful, if you find this video helpful, please do subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much. And then the second clause talks about being brings disrepute to the profession, either professionally or personally. Okay, कैसा भी अगर CA disrepute लेके आ रहा है CA profession को, then he will be guilty under this clause part 4 of schedule 1. Okay, so first clause talks about held guilty by civil or criminal court, कुछ offense करा and he is held guilty, and then the imprisonment is for a term not exceeding 6 months. ठीक है, not exceeding 6 months is covered here, not exceeding. And then the second one is disrepute. If he is bringing disrepute to the profession personally or professionally, then he will be held guilty under this clause 2 part 4. Clear? Now we will see first part is like very important, and first part has 12 clauses. How many? See, 12 clauses are there in your first part. Very easy to remember, मैंने highlight करी है हर एक clause में important points. Please go through this every day so that it will be, you will not forget the clauses at least. Okay, so first, does not allow any person to practice. ठीक है, first वाला, you cannot allow any other person to practice in your name. ठीक है. then the second one is your pays. प्रैक्टिस हो गया, अब तुम्हारा पैसों का आ गया. ठीक है, यू कैन नॉट पे एनी शेयर कमीशन और ब्रोकरेज टू एनी पर्सन. ओके, you cannot pay share commission or brokerage to any person in fees or profits of your profession. तुम्हारा प्रोफेशनल बिजनेस में जो भी तुम अर्न कर रहे हो, you cannot pay to any other person. अदर देन थोड़े एक्सेप्शंस रहेंगे, वो पढ़ लेना. ठीक है, देर आर सर्टन एक्सेप्शंस, बट टू रिमेंबर द क्लॉज हियर इज टॉकिंग अबाउट पेमेंट. यू कैनॉट पे whatever amounts that you're earning out of your professional business, you cannot pay to any other person. ठीक. And then the other one is you cannot accept also. You cannot accept from any other random person also. ये दोनों points हो गए तुम्हारे पैसे related. ठीक है, first वाला तुम्हारा practice था, second 2 points were related to your money, पैसा, and then the third one is your partnership. Okay, you cannot enter into partnership with every random person. There are certain categories of people given with whom you can enter into partnership. Other than that, you cannot randomly enter into partnership with every person. Okay, if you enter, then you are held guilty. If you take money also, you'll be held guilty. If you accept money also, you'll be held guilty. So this part 1 applies to practice, like a CA who is into practice. ओके, तो यू कैनॉट, फर्स्ट पॉइंट हो गया तुम्हारा प्रैक्टिस के बारे में, यू कैनॉट अलाउ एनी अदर पर्सन टू प्रैक्टिस इन योर नेम. सेकंड एंड थर्ड पॉइंट हो गया तुम्हारा पैसे रिलेटेड, ना पे करना ना एक्सेप्ट करना. फोर्थ पॉइंट हो गया तुम्हारा पार्टनरशिप. क्लियर? नाउ फिफ्थ पॉइंट, सिक्योर्स. सी दिस 5 6 7 is about your clients and advertisements. Okay, see, you're securing clients either from employee or from your partner is fine. You can secure from your employees or from partners, then that is fine. But if you're securing from any other person other than these two, okay, who is not an employee and who is not your partner, you're securing from them, then you will be held guilty under clause 5. Okay, and then you're soliciting clients, at the time of giving any circulars or giving any advertisements or personal communication or interviews, you're soliciting clients, then you will be held guilty under clause 6. Okay, and then the third one is advertisements. You cannot advertise your professional attainment. Okay, if you do it, then you will be held guilty under clause 7. So first four are one category. It relates to your practice. You cannot allow any other person to practice. जो भी कमाते हो, you cannot pay to any other person, and then you cannot accept from any other person. 2 and 3. Third one is you cannot enter into your partnership. हो गया. And then 5th 6th 7th, and then this 5th 6th and 7th talks about your clients and advertisements. Okay, you cannot secure clients from other than your employees and partners. You cannot solicit clients while giving advertisements, personal interviews, and giving any circulars. You cannot solicit clients. And then the 7th point is your advertisements. Advertise your professional attainments. You cannot do that. Okay, and then your 8th and 9th point talks about your auditor. Like whenever auditor he accepts any kind of a position as auditor in any company, then first thing he has to do is he has to communicate to the previous auditor. That is your 8th point. 8th point talks about your communicating to the previous auditor. ठीक. And then the other thing that he has to do is he has to make sure, before accepting as an auditor, he has to make sure that the company is in compliance with section 139 and 140. So clause 9, you can also remember it as section 139 and clause 9. Okay, so that's how you can remember your clause 9, section 139 and 140. He has to make sure, before accepting. So these 2 points relating to your auditor, easy to remember, perfect. And then 10th point is about your fixed percentage of profit. See, you can claim fees 1 lakh 2 lakh, whatever is your fees you can quote, but you cannot say ki give me percentage of your profits to your client. See, client, you're earning 100 lakhs, give me 2% of that. You cannot charge your fees like that. Or you cannot say, client, you will earn so much in the future, whatever you will earn in the future, give me certain percentage of that. It should not be contingent about future earnings also. Okay, so if you do that, then you will be held guilty. Your fees should be directly quoted, like at least 1 lakh 2 lakh. So this one talks about your 10th one talks about your fees. Okay, 10th one is fees, remember it in that way. And then 11th one, 11th one, 2 lines. 11 is 2 lines. So one is that you're doing practice, and the other one is parallelly you're doing some other business, then you are held guilty. So these are two parallel lines. 11 is two parallel lines. So first one is your practice, and then the other one is your business. You cannot do that. Okay, there are certain exceptions given, but if you engage into other business, then you will held guilty under clause 11. Now 12th one is your signature. See, first one he talks about your practice, okay, and then the last one it talks about your sign. You cannot allow any other person to sign. Partner, okay, obviously partner can also sign. See, if he is not a partner and you are allowing some other person to sign on your behalf, then you will be held guilty under clause 2. Okay, part 1 we will revise again. See, first point talks about your practice, second point talks about payment, third point talks about acceptance, and then fourth point talks about your payment. So first category 4 are covered. Practice ho gaya, you allow some other person to practice, go on. If you are making any kind of payment from your professional work, guilty. If you accept also from any other person, then also you will be held guilty. Fourth point, if you enter into a partnership with anyone other than the list given, okay, then you will be held guilty. Then this 3 talks about your clients and advertisements. Okay, you cannot secure, you cannot solicit, you cannot advertise your professional attainments. Okay, 8th and 9th point is about your auditors. First time audit accepting, then you have to communicate to the previous auditor, and then make sure that the company is in compliance with section 139 to 140. Clear? And then 10th one is about your fees, 11th one is about your parallel business, 12th one is ultimately signing. You cannot allow any other person to sign on your behalf. I hope this video was helpful. It's hardly 12 minutes. Please do revise, please do watch this video twice, and make sure to download this PDF and look at it at least once during your revision, so you will not make any mistake in the clauses. Okay, so we'll be coming up with schedule 2 as well. Please do subscribe, share with your friends, show some support. Thank you all so much.